Morning, welcome in. We've got a couple of Game Gears in this morning, and both of them are, by the looks of it, attempted re-PCB installs that have either gone wrong or something else is up. Okay, welcome in. So this one is basically saying this is a sponsored video in a sense, like we're sending stuff out for another YouTube channel to do this for somebody else, but it's having problems with the board. So it's a re-PCB full swap. I've also sent them spare CPUs and Z80s and they can't get it working. So let's take a look at this one first. This should be, I presume, something fairly basic. Just check there's no there's order details in here. 1 second. Haven't opened it up yet, so let me just get that open off camera. And this is what we have. Afternoon for you, it's early morning for me. So this is the board. Now, on the note, I think it mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I think 2 and 3 pads on the Z80 are pulled off as well. So I guess the first thing we'll do with this is take a look at the overhead cam. Let's pull focus. And obviously there's not a Z80 on there at the minute, but we can inspect the solders on these and we can also check this. I'm going to suspect just, my first suspect is simply just soldering, so it might not be, but let's just have a look. Zoom in a bit further. We'll check out, there's clearly ripped pads there, but oh yeah, and they go somewhere, so we'll restore them traces, save swapping the board, just so the customer will know that, you know, whether it was the traces or not, if you know what I mean. So we'll have to restore them. I don't need to really follow where they go because I've got the schematic. I actually made this, so I can drop them down. These two you can clearly see are just right there, so I'll just bridge wire them. This one though goes over up somewhere else, so I will just solder this down and then we'll see that pad missing and we can fix that. So whether that was the issue all along, I doubt it. The customer's probably put this down fine the first time, and with swapping things he's pulled a trace maybe. So let's just do, with me not soldering this, let's do a full inspection to make sure this is definitely all soldered well. I can always reflow these, but before we touch it, let's just see if there's anything obvious with any of the soldering or any bridges. So I'm just pushing on with tweezers. Bottom's fine, we'll do top and then we'll go to the sides after. I've actually got, I don't know why I'm using that one, I do actually have a little bendy tweezer or sharp tweezer I normally use for this. It's a bit longer and finer for pushing. Makes the job a little bit easier. So that one's loose, so it won't boot with that loose, because that's the data pin. So that, whether that's, again, the chips have probably been swapped. They may have been soldered down correct the first time. I don't think there's a short between there, but that's one. And all it takes is one pin, so it can look perfectly fine, but a single pin missing and you won't get boot, especially when it's like the data pin and stuff. That one's done a little bit of a nudge, but wasn't loose. I think the leg just moved near the top. Yep, they're good. That's loose. That's loose, that's loose. I feel like a dentist when I started doing this. B1 2 loose, 3 concaved. That's fine. So there's 3. Yeah, I can see they're soldered. You can see the nice. When you see this kind of reflection here on the leg edge, you kind of know for sure they're soldered. Morning, welcome in. We are just fixing somebody else's Game Gear. Just double checking all the solder first. We found a couple of loose pins, and the customer knows about a few torn traces on a Z80 that weren't there though when they had trouble in the first place. So I think the VDP, luckily the VDP looks okay because I am the VDP killer, so if I touch this I'm probably going to kill it. Luckily it's CPU and Z80 so far. Yeah, the VDP is definitely installed better, and obviously it's a larger chip so it's easier to install as well. The CPU is the much finer pitch, so can be more difficult to install. That one looks a little bit dry there, but it is soldered, but I'll probably reflow them both if we have troubles. Right, so the only issues we found is Z83 torn traces, which they know about but presume weren't there before, problems they've had. We have a pin up here that was loose. I think it was that one, yeah, that was just completely floating. And then these 3 pins are loose, but they're kind of on, but they're obviously not because you can move them. But they feel like, where is it there? It's, you know, completely loose, but it felt like it was maybe making hairline contact before I pushed it. So we need to reflow this and then put a Z80 on and fix the traces basically. So first thing I'll do is to reflow this. I can also show you the preheating technique, but I have now a new tool, well, a new hot air station. Oh, making controller port mod for OG, nice. See, if there was a few more LED mods for that, I'd definitely use them for the installs and that. I'm surprised nobody's made them yet, like just using the NeoPixel LEDs and stuff. So I have a new soldering iron. I can show you. Not a new well, I haven't got a new soldering iron, I've got my old soldering iron, but that's not what I meant to say. I've got a new hot air station, so this is the new Quick K8 here. Looks nice. Biggest downside is I've had to Q-bond, as my face, I've had to Q-bond the connector on here because it doesn't come with a stand. It only comes with this little shitty thing that's meant to point upright, which then, you know, you burn things in the air, but it doesn't hold or fit anywhere. So the side of the station here, you're meant to screw it onto here, and it points up. But then the problem is, you have this, and it like wants to hit the desk like that at the angle. It doesn't want to sit over here, and then I don't want this in my way, you know, working with all this flap everywhere. So where you're meant to install it on that, I don't think it's very practical. So I've got that, but the reason I got it has nothing to do with the other one not being good. It's exactly the same iron basically. It's the fact that now these tips are removable this way. So this is a more common hot air tip. This kind of screw fit with a 21 to 23 mil cover, whereas the other Quick I've used is like the press fit. But the reason I've swapped it is because I've now brought these. So this was because of me killing VDPs. The hot air now will come out of just these edges, and over the board you can see they literally fit perfectly. I've obviously purchased them for that reason, perfectly over the VDP and CPU. So we can hot air them like this and warm up the pads without warming up the die. So that's why I brought this. I've used it once yesterday to test and it works good, but the only downside I'd say is you can't see what you're doing when you're working with it. So we'll use it just to show you, and we'll reflow this, obviously CPU. Why don't users use emulators? You do. I use emulators. I think many people do. It's just more, it's nostalgia. If you've played stuff as a child and you remember these as kids, you've got a major nostalgia. Like I play Pokemon all the time, and I'm sure if I didn't play it as a kid, the game's pretty shit. Like you know, you play Pokemon Yellow, black and white, not many pixels, very basic gameplay. But because I played it as a kid, it still feels like really up-to-date, modern, and keeps me entertained and happy. So I think a lot of it's nostalgia. The crystal as well, just notice that's fine. So you've got the OEM crystal on, then removed. So yeah, let's just reflow this. I've also, actually we don't need it for this, I was going to say I've got something else, but we don't need it for this bit. I will though cover the desk with big white fluffy pad so the flux doesn't go everywhere. Put this on, we'll get some flux down, and the other problem with using this shaped tip, this one, is you can't kind of push down on the chip, because when this is on, you pretty much, I'm going to have to, this is also a problem, I'm going to have to probably move the position of this this entire stack, because it doesn't really reach. So obviously you can tell how much I've used this. I've literally used it probably once so far. Is that any more? There we go, just about got enough length to use it, just about. I could probably pull it forward and just rearrange this desk a bit. Oop. There we go. Yeah, made like a little cubby old corner for me equipment now. Let me show you what I've just done. Just like made them in a little curve now and brought them all forward, so I've got a nice little curve here, so this is a bit closer to, so I can just about reach. So I think obviously the arm on this as well, the tube is a lot shorter than the other one, so there's a few downsides to this versus the other quick I've got, but it's mainly for using this. I might go back to it if I don't end up using this sort of nozzle on the end of it. Yeah, this is a Game Gear. This is the re-PCB I've made. So a customer's attempted an install, and we have a couple of loose pins on here that we're going to attempt to fix. Well, we will fix, we're not going to attempt it. Put my new fan on. So for this one, I'm just going to go over, and you can probably see it better on this angle for showing off what we're going to do here. Zoom in, go to the side. Well, it's not a very smooth motion one. There we go, that's pretty cool. Wow, I wish that had moved slower. There we go. So I'm going to use this tip and go over, right over the pins, basically like this. Oh, camera drop then. So I'm going to go right over the pins like that and pretty much stay there. And you don't really need to move this because this is heating up the pins directly, not the chip. So the whole point is you kind of stay where you are. I've lowered my temps now. I've always run 480 degrees Celsius. I've lowered it right the way down to 330 now. So we're going for a slower reflow, and you can see how quick it's getting the pins because we're going straight over the pins here. So this is actually reflowing pretty much as quick as it normally would, mainly because and then you can see the extractor fans getting all that smoke out as well. Mainly because we're going straight over the pins and not wasting heat on the board or the chip. So I can see the pins reflowing here, but that's the downside. I can't see the pins anywhere else. So I'm relying mostly on, until I get used to this and the technique, I'm pretty much relying on looking at the bottom pins and presuming the others are all reflowing. And I also can't really nudge the chip easy. Like, there's quite a few downsides to going straight over with this hot air station versus having the usual technique where I move the hot air around and I can nudge and push on the chip and things to get it in position. With this, you're kind of stuck. You've got to put the heat over, let it do its job, and then inspect after, pretty much. So if I go over that, give it one more reflow for good measure. I'm probably going to push down on the chip still while it's molten. So I'm going to get it nice and warm. And you can see all the pins reflowing like very easily. Move off, push down. Yep, and then I'm going to stay there. So that, to be honest, works pretty good. The other problem is as well, because this is mounted on my monitor behind me, I've got to do a kind of ninja move to put my iron away. Oh, that's going to take in some get used to. Yeah, that's that's not a good position for my iron. I'll figure that one out another time. Right, so now that's cool enough, we need to clean this before the flux goes too sticky. And the benefit of this basically is we won't have, I know we didn't have problems with the CPU, you know, I was only killing the VDP, but we're not warming like this chip. I can almost put my finger on, and that's been at 300 degrees for them. It'd melt my finger if I was touching that, and we'd been using the other way of doing the hot air. because the dye itself would have warmed up more. Nice. Welcome in. I'm glad you've somebody's told you about the streams. That's pretty cool. I've been away for a week, so this is actually this is now my second stream since I've been back, and I've got a sub-only stream later on. Well, the first one we're doing. Oh, I didn't clean that very well. So I've got the first sub-only stream at 4 o'clock tonight, going over more, teaching people how to do this and what equipment I use, and a bit more detail. I'm going to turn the ultrasonic cleaner on as well. I've now got, I've always had the ultrasonic cleaner, but I've just put it down at my feet so that I can actually use it, because the thing is, the big ultrasonic cleaner I don't use because I have to get it out. So if I zoom out, you can see down by my feet now, I've just chucked the ultrasonic cleaner. I brought loads of them years ago, and this is the make I found best in the UK. The US have got some good makes. For us over here, this is the only make I found that even was semi-decent. So that's full of cleaning fluid. I've just turned it on, so that will warm up the liquid in there. But it'll take a good while, really. You want to turn that on probably 20 minutes, half an hour before using it. So it's got like a heater down there. So see, it says 80 degrees there. That's the temperature it wants to get up to, and the water's at the minute 19. So while that's on now, that should be heating up. And then when we turn it on, you'll have a lovely screeching ultrasonic sound that will probably destroy the microphone as we're using it. But it's only got to be in for a minute, and that'll clean it up good. Yeah, I think we'll definitely use the thermocoupler on the next one, out of curiosity. It's a little bit more setup, but right, let's check them pins. Actually, we didn't check if these pins are good. Welcome back, thank you very much. Yeah, it was a nice little break, just away with Rusty, chilling in a log cabin. Right, we're going to ignore all the flux under. That's, I guess, the other downside. Because this isn't warm, the flux underneath isn't bubbling and moving out of the way. We've only warmed up the legs, so that's kind of a slight downside. Right, so that's reflown now. I mean, still looks a bit ugly to me. I could probably do a better job if I used... is that also a bunch of solder under there? No, just a visual. Thought I'd seen a solder blob under there. Yeah, so that, to me, these are still a bit nasty looking. Like, they're obviously all soldered on now because we've reflown, but I'm not 100% convinced yet if I want to use that custom shaped nozzle, if you know what I mean. It's like, I'm used to my other way though, so the thing is, I've got to learn the new techniques. I'm not going to be as good as I was with the other techniques when I'm starting something new. So that's all you have to bear in mind, is I'm not used to this way of soldering yet with that kind of nozzle that goes all around. That's literally the second time I've ever used it. Right, so they're back on. This one didn't have a problem. No, it's just Z80. So the Z80 we will chuck down. I'll probably just grab the one out of the bag. So we're using what the customer had, so we know, if the customer could have got it working, or whether he's also got faulty chips. Everyone gassy? Why has there been a fart sound or something? No, I haven't burped or farted. Might be a chair or something. West Coast and US, it all depends, because the West Coast has got, I think Cali is 9 hours, New York's like 5 hours, Duluth 6 hours, LA is, I think LA is 8 hours, but the thing is, we have daylight savings at different times than you, so it'll go, we'll go from being, say, in New York, you'll be 5 hours different, then you'll be 6, I think it is, 5 and 6, depending on the time of year. Oh, hang on. I've just noticed that. Oh no, I was about to say that's all slanted. I've plonked the chip on there and thought that chip was all slanted. It's just that one sitting on top. Thought I'd spotted something then. So this one now, see, the other problem with using the custom nozzle on the hot air is I have to swap it every time I'm not using the VDP. So do I just... I might just solder this with my iron for laziness, just so I don't swap the tip over again for the hot air. I might as well give it a go. Now, if I'm going to hot air, if I'm going to soldering iron, you probably want to desolder wick this first, make it flat, and we'll just use the soldering iron on this for a different technique as well. I guess show you guys the alternative techniques. I do repairs and deep cleans, do both. For Series S, we've stopped kind of diagnosing the modern consoles. We're just too busy with the retro, so I've also got a tiny tip on this iron, so this is not the best one for desolder wicking. Yeah, this is I doubt this is going to have enough thermal mass. I might have to put a fat tip on this 1 second. But it's easier to swap this tip because it's just, with it being a Weller, just grab it with your hand, pull it out, and it's like a nice little nozzle. So, oh no, I cleaned up and moved all my nozzles into the garage. Of course I did. Okay, it looks like it is going to be hot air then. I'll just have to change the nozzle. Right, grab that. Turn you off a minute. So yeah, this is the reason I didn't originally buy this style of nozzle as well, because of having to do this. It's not bad, it's just something I'm not used to having to do. Just undo that. Lift out. New nozzle on. Zip in. So not terrible, I'm just not used to having to do that. And then we don't need to desolder it now because I've left the iron. I knew that'd happen. Every time you clean up, you need the thing that you cleaned up. Yeah, you're welcome. That's why I enjoy doing the streams. I like people to see what we're doing and how we do it. And it also makes the day go a bit quicker as well. I know it takes me longer to do the work on stream, but at least you're having a conversation and not just sitting on your own in a room at 5 in the morning. So, hot air station back on. Now, we've always noticed, or I have at least, the Z80s never seem to flow as nice visually on the pins. I always find the pins tend to look a bit dry even when they're not. I think it's just the package of the Z80 or the quality of the pins. So, this is how I'd normally have done all the others, with just a normal nozzle pointing at the pins and going around. And I might well go back to this technique for the VDP, but what I want to do first is play it safe and use that safer nozzle and lower temperature to reflow them. Once I've built a few, which by the way Zach's built 6 in a row with no problems on the VDP, so it is very likely just I was killing it with heat. But until I've done some VDPs and got confidence back that I'm not destroying them, I'll stick with that fancy nozzle, and then if it works fine and the nozzle, I can use them like this nozzle and do my normal technique, which is to go around the pins, I'll go back to that technique but at the lower temperature after. We are fixing a few game gears this morning. This is one of them where the customer's done the reflow on the PCB, fit the chips and couldn't get it working, and then I presume since then trying to swap out the chips multiple times has lifted a few pins on the Z80, which we'll fix in a minute, and we also found a few shorts on the CPU, or sorry, a few loose pins on the CPU, which may or may not have been there when he first had the issues. So even though they're there now, that might have not been there when he was originally having troubles. So I'm just basically doing a re-PCB build basically and confirming what problems we have, if we have any. Yeah, so see how these pins just don't look as nice, I find. They don't look like they've flown as nice. But that's always the case I find on this Z80. I always think that's what you end up seeing. To me, they just don't quite look as... I mean, this one doesn't look too bad, but they don't look as round. Yeah, this... having to put this hot air thing behind my head is going to take some getting used to. And now it's not forget we've got to repair the 3 traces. I also noticed one thing, the board is a lot cooler at this 330 degrees Celsius. So I'm used to this board staying bubbling hot for a while. But we're still managing to reflow. It's reflowing, to be honest, really well at the 330. So I guess it's a lot safer for the chips now. I've just got to learn new timing because I'm used to the time things take at the 480. I've just got to learn what the new timings will take. This is a Game Gear, so this is a board I've made, but it's actually from a Game Gear. We've got a few. I've got another one to repair in a minute. Have we got the actual thing? Yeah, so again, I've made this. So this is a mould of a Game Gear that I've made, and we've produced the shells and we make these. So these are literally ours, but they look exactly the same as original. And we've UV printed designs on these, so we sell all these. That's a different customers that we'll be on to in a minute. But this is the internal motherboard that I've remade. So this would be green, and obviously it's the internal motherboard to a Game Gear. So now we don't really need that. Now we're not using too much flux. This is what we want to do next. Zoom in nice and close. We need to repair these traces. So these aren't difficult if you use the right technique. We have this one that can go to the trace here. We had, I think this was another torn pad, but yeah, that one we can probably just bridge because the pad's here. We just need to manually blob some solder on that one, I think. Let's just try and, oh, see, I've knocked that hot air station with my arm and it's come on. This one I think if we just do, where was it, second one down, there's a slight bit of pad left, so we just blob a bit of flux there. Try and keep this fan on at all times now. And if I come in with this iron and we just flood it with solder, there we go, we've got a nice little bead of solder going up there. Like you can do it on that leg, see how it jumps on nice and easy. In fact, you can make the solder joints really nice using this Waller iron. And this was my first expensive iron when I could afford, when I started out many years ago. This was a big expense for me. I've got it back out of storage. I have been contacting Waller to try and get them to send me some free stuff because everybody on stream always asks what I'm using and I want their new iron, but I can't justify buying it because I have the old one. In fact, that's a bit too thick, that tip. I think we'll just use a scalpel for this one. Yeah, so I want their new WX Air series, I think it is, or WX Smart or something. But it's basically going to be very similar to the one I've got, and I've got 2 or 3 of their units already, so I figured if I use them on stream as well and they see me using the tips, I'm a bit more likely to maybe get some free stuff. So we'll expose that trace. That's plenty exposed, should be. And the traces on this are quite thin because obviously they are. It's the board I've designed, so I use 0.2mm traces as standard. And then firstly we'll try and tin that trace. There we go. Perfect. And now we just need some enamel wire. So I've got some new enamel wire. This is blue and green I've got now. This actually melts off a lot easier than the red stuff I had. So before, the biggest job was stripping the enamel off this. And look how much easier that is. So I've only barely stripped the tip off, but it should be enough. We could put it through the iron more. And look at that, strips off very easy. So that's a massive benefit for me because that used to be a really, like probably the longest winded job of the wire was stripping it. Whereas now, it's nice and simple. So I just clean that up before we do the solder. So you can see, yeah, probably don't remove the enamel on your whiteboard though, because it sticks a little bit to it. There we go. Fresh bit of flux. Let's grab that little bit of wire. Yeah, the flux and solder I don't. Well, different fluxes and solders all smell different to different people. Like Zach hates the smell of this flux. I don't mind it, but now I'm using the extractor properly, like I should. I literally smell nothing at the minute. There's nothing coming up to hit me in the face. I mean, you really shouldn't be smelling anything when you're using them. That's the point. But yeah, I have been lazy over the years to not bother with proper fume extraction. But everybody on this stream watching me now as well, I don't want to give out bad practice, you know, just because I've done it before. You technically should. I'm not used to my Waller iron. This would normally take 2 seconds, and I am absolutely not used to this iron at the minute. Wow. So see what a difference it makes when you're used to a certain equipment. Making this look ridiculous. I've got all the right tools, all the right technique, and can I get that to stick? Can I, bugger? There we go. So we'll get it on that pad. That's now on the leg. I mean, it's not centered, but it's completely on. So you can see it's fully attached to the leg. But yeah, I need to get used to my Weller again, because it's definitely a better iron, but I'm not used to the small tip. I'm used to a massive tip with lots of thermal mass. So the techniques I've been using for the other irons don't exactly work for this Weller. But that's on solid anyway. There's no issues there. Yeah, I think that the main issue with the fumes is, one, there's lead as well, which is, I think, the least concern, because if you're sniffing in lead, you basically pee lead out. So unless you continually chew lead, if I took lead now, or sniffed in lead, or got lead poisoning, it just comes out your system, you just pee it out. So it makes your head go funky from what I've read up, like you basically almost think you're demented or something. It screws with your brain processes, but simply stop being around the place where you're getting lead, and it just comes out your system. So the lead isn't as bad as the I think it's the halogens and the halides in the flux. So that's what the smoke is. That's the cancer causing agents, or the deadly agents and things. But they're nowhere near as bad as you think they are, in a way. They're not like, you know, you're going to use this and get a problem. The main problem you get isn't cancer, it's asthma. You'll develop occupational asthma, it's called, which is just asthma from the job you're doing. But I've done it on and off. I've done soldering for 15 years plus. I've got absolutely no issues there. But recently, I started noticing I don't think it's anything related. I've had some issues with my throat since COVID. I've had like post-nasal drip and things. But that was literally from the start of COVID, and it never went. So don't think it's anything specific to this job. That was literally bloody COVID that gave me that. But yeah, either way, you really should use fume extraction. It's the right, right thing to do, and it's what you should be doing to keep your health right. That's why I kind of want to buy the really expensive Waller fume extractor, like the big one. I think it's called Zero Smog. So even though I've got this little extractor fan at the minute that's working great, the Waller one would be even more powerful and has HEPA filters in, whereas this one doesn't. Well, this is not the angle for me to attach this wire to. Should probably turn the board around. There we go, so that one's attached. Floating wire, I don't know where that's going yet, but I've attached the wire. So you can see this. I've also got, to prove if it was working, I brought this the other day. So this is I don't know what it is, but basically it measures the quality of the air, the pollutants in the air. So you can turn this on, and it will tell you if you're in a safe environment, basically. So if you work anywhere and you've got, let's turn this off a minute. And this is the air quality at the minute, so I'll probably have to, I'm sure, every single stream, I'll move this vertical camera. And I never remember which way I'm moving it, so that can stay there. Right, so you've got the 28 and the 17, the particles of 2.5, I'm presuming microns, basically the size, so the PM10s are particles that are a mass larger. So these are big particles, these are smaller. They're meant to be under 20s to have a really clean environment. If I, say, do a single solder joint down here without the extractor fan, so that was me doing, say, one wire, and I'm done. I'm going to move out of the way and not breathe that in a minute. And then watch what happens to this meter. And this would be whatever's going into my lungs, basically. Whatever's literally appearing right in front of me. And it takes a little while because it obviously samples the air for, you know, a good 5 to 10 seconds. And this is, bear in mind, from one single solder joint. And look at that, we've already got the unhealthy range. That you can go up to 1,000, we've seen it easily, very quickly. So that's what you don't want to see. If we put the extractor on, it should clear that down fairly quickly. Get back down to like the 20s. And then we'll do the same thing again. Oh, no way. How would you hide the comments? See, I didn't know that on TikTok either. How would you hide the comments? That used to drive me nuts. Press and hold the stream and then clear display. That's pretty cool. Solder, at the minute I'm using Solder King 60% lead, but I've actually ordered some 0.4mm lead-free solder. Again, much harder to work with, apparently. I've not used it in so long. But again, just health-wise, I've ordered that in. And I'm going to be using that as well. So just all stuff aimed at, you know, using better equipment, better health and safety stuff. Especially now I get a lot of people watching. I want to make sure I'm not, you know, doing things that are bad for my health and people are watching me and taking, oh, this guy's using this, I'll use this, and ignoring, basically. So so we're down to like 30. That's the quality that the air in this room at the minute. But now if I do exactly the same, so exactly the same procedure, I'll go and do some soldering. That was like the one connection. I'm going to do more than that, just because I can. There's 2, and you can see all the smoke going off and blowing into the filter. Tons of it. And look at the meter, just rock solid, not changing. Then if I clear the iron off, move it over there, and we'll leave that a minute as well. That is now the difference that you can see. It's not like a guess or you think it's working. This is an actual, this meter was a few £100, and it measures the quality of the air. And I've also got on top of that, so you see that's literally saying your air is healthy. That would have changed by now. Gone up by like 1 particle, which is nothing. So that's all healthy air. Basically, that's why I brought that. I wanted to make sure, instead of just using fans, are they actually working? And then on top of that, if I swing this all the way around and go over here, we also have in, the first thing I did before that was I brought this thing, and you can see that's now clearing the air up, so that's also detected the particles in the room itself from me soldering over here. So the green fan's blown the particles out of my face, but now they're still in the room, and then this thing's now clearing up the air in the room. That genuinely made an absolutely huge difference to how we felt in this room. I always thought because the room doesn't have many windows, well, no windows and 1 door, you get like, you know, claustrophobic heads staying indoors. It was actually the quality of the air in the room. Since we put that in, we feel healthier from it as well. So definitely worth taking the time to look after your health, I guess. The pads on this, where they went, the customer lifted the chip off and physically lifted them off with the chip, so they've ripped off the board. So we're just going to repair them. Let me actually, I need to open up the schematic and find out where this pin does go, because I don't know. So we want to look at, turn around. I've still just got the wire attached full length at the minute until we find out where it goes. We have pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pin 7 up. Give that a minute to open the schematic. Is the fume extractor vented outside? No, it goes into, well, in this case, this baby one, it's just a particle filter here, so it just catches. So you see this white here. This white bit here, that's the particles it's caught. If we use a proper Waller filter, there's HEPA filters inside that pass the air through, and all the particles get trapped into these filters. And then obviously you change the filters regularly. So basically you're trapping all the dangerous stuff inside the filter in particle filters, basically. Right, charcoal filter, yeah, that one, I believe that one I've got there is just charcoal, basically. Right, so open up the Game Gear 2 ASIC, GG, re-PCB, hardware, 2 ASIC. Boolean algebra. Luckily, I'm a software developer as well, so the software side comes in handy there. If you want to learn the electronic stuff, just be a member on YouTube or sub to Twitch. And I'm doing the first live stream today where I'll go over electronics equipment and soldering first. But I will be teaching people how to do things, and you can ask questions directly on there and get answers, and we can go into depth about things. So if you want proper advice, like dedicated advice, then I'd sub to the channel and just join Discord, link your YouTube or Twitch to the Discord, and you'll be invited to a private channel called Elite Members, where all the subs are, and then we have dedicated support and discussions there. Right, so it goes to second pin up here, so I'm just going to do it over here, and we just got to tack to that leg. So we'll clear the leg off. I much prefer this. Again, how much of a difference this blue enamelled wire's made to the red. The red stuff I brought was way more expensive. This was just from AliExpress. Well, no, this was actually from my factory in China directly. But I tried to find it on AliExpress and couldn't. But either way, this enamel is way easier to melt off, but in a good way. So it makes working with that enamel wire so much easier. And I used to see other people stripping enamel wire and wondering how the hell they did it so quick when it takes me ages. Now I know it was just that red enamel wire I probably purchased was not necessarily for soldering. Maybe it was actually for a different purpose, I don't know. Or it was just higher temperature. But either way, I prefer how nicely that melts. We could then do, kind of try and fancily move these wires into a place to make them look a bit neater. You know, I'd normally try to get like a nice shape on this and then tack it all into place. But I don't like to go too far because I also don't want to waste time on visuals too much. So that'll do for now. Right, so that is, I think that's everything. We've restored that torn trace, that one, and the other one we've blobbed up. And then we need to clean that little bit of gunk off. I can put this in the ultrasonic cleaner when we're done if it works as well, while we move on to the next. We've reflown that chip. So at the minute, all we've done is fixed 4 pins for the customer on there, put this back down and fixed 3 torn traces. So let's see where that gets us. Actually, that one can go in there. Yeah, I was thinking that it's probably more like wrapping for making magnets or motors or things. It probably is the case. Yeah, the videos on YouTube are permanent. So if you go to youtube.com/retro6/live, they're permanently forever there in the live section. Twitch, it's only on for a few days, I think, like 7 days, and TikTok, I think, they're just gone. I think as soon as you end the stream, TikToks are gone. I don't think you can watch them back. If you don't have that private invite in Discord, just message me. You've got to link your YouTube account and Twitch account to Discord, and you have to be a member, not just like clicking subscribe. You have to do the paid membership, like the £2 membership or something. Yeah, to be honest, enamel wire fumes, they might well be. It's a good point. They might be like quite dangerous as well. But either way, I'm now running the extractor as much as I can. Well, all the time really. I need to make sure I don't forget. Hey, morning, welcome in. Yeah, members only videos should be permanently recorded as well. If they're not, we'll figure out. But obviously, yeah, just DM me then if you've still got the problem. I can figure out why, and send me some screenshots as well in the DM of like your account email and where you've done it and stuff, and then we can check with. You could even just yeah, do it to me first, and then I can ask the other members to see. I need a speaker. I think speaker's in the other room. I can ask the other members what they did in terms of linking Discord, because obviously I own the Discord, so I don't technically have my email linked in the sense that I've subscribed to my own channel and gone that way. So the people that have already got memberships will probably know more than me about that to make sure it looks like you've done it in the right places and things. Right, so brackets over there. Customer hasn't sent the ribbons. I should have some spare. One there, have I got the other side? That was a good advertisement for Doom, wasn't it there? Just turn back around and saw a giant Doom on the screen. Right, I've found some here. Fart in that machine. You know damn well I'm going to end up doing that. And I'll check what it does. That's literally, you can measure the lethality of your fart doing that. Right, then let's get a clean screen. I haven't got the audio, which is going to be really helpful, but if it doesn't work, I'll go grab audio. If it does work, I'll probably, to be honest, either way, I'll probably end up going and grab the audio to make sure it works fully, but let's just see where we get without that. Sega Naomi's, yeah, I've stopped working on the arcade stuff just because most people in them communities, to be honest, were quite arrogant and rude. I used to, obviously like I do with everything, give away all the knowledge on the wiki and show people how I do it, and spent many hours on them, and there's too many, similar to the Game Boy scene, I think there's too many big heads and dickheads, so I kind of stopped working on the arcade stuff, unfortunately. But obviously, I do know about them, and there's some, I think I put some info on the wiki, but feel free to ask away in the Discord. We are fixing up a couple of Game Gears we've got. I've got another hour and a bit yet, so we'll more than likely get the other one done, unless this gives us grief. This is a sponsored video. Some guy's building one and like doing effectively like a sponsored video. Oh, there you go, working. So he's been having trouble with stupid iron. Been having trouble getting this thing working. I sent him a few extra chips, CPU and Z80 in case it was them. And I think when he's removed the Z80, he's torn 3 traces. But before that, it was very likely they weren't torn. But the CPU had 4 floating pins on. So I think it was just a soldering issue, by the looks of it. I better grab Or shall I just put the proper... I was going to say I was going to grab the speaker, but I'll tell you what, instead of using the test port, let's just finish this off for the customer. It's actually got a few glitches on screen then. Oh, is that switch maybe? Yeah, let's just check this was stable. That switch I think was partially on and off. I just saw a few flickery lines on there for a minute. Yeah, let's move this back again. Jump back in. Can never find the perfect position for the vertical stream to match that, because I look at the horizontal stream when I'm working, but then every now and then I glance over to the vertical and notice you're missing half the stuff that we're looking at. Right, has anybody noticed any flickering on this screen? I haven't yet. So I think that was just the I think it was just the 50-60 Hz switch was slightly on and off, so that looks okay. Zoom out a bit. Yeah, we're all looking stable. Yep, I'm happy with that. So let's unplug that a minute. Cleaning, and funnily enough, I normally use a dishwasher. I do own an ultrasonic cleaner, and ironically, I've just mentioned at the start of this stream that I never use it because I just chuck it in the dishwasher, but there's my ultrasonic cleaner. I turned it on at the start of this stream, roughly. You can see now it's got up to 52 degrees, so this should be like a nice toasty hot tub now. So if you look at that nice warm bath, so I can warm my hands up in there. So I'll chuck this board in when we're done with it, while I work on the other one. But to be honest, I normally just clean them up with IPA and scrub, but then if they get, you know, heavily soiled, I'll chuck them in the dishwasher. Makes them 10 times better than any ultrasonic cleaner will. Absolutely and utterly flawless when they come out of the dishwasher. Whereas an ultrasonic cleaner, even the best, it won't clean it as well. It just 100% will not. The main thing for cleaning the boards is heat and movement, so that's what a dishwasher does great. And because I'm now using this Walla, in fact I can just show you on the overhead instead of that. Now I'm using my Walla iron again. This is one I've owned for many, many years, and it's like a small fine tip. I've just got to get used to using the small tips again. No real reason, I'm just swapping up equipment. I love the thick tip, but I think I mentioned I'm trying to get Walla to send me some free stuff. Like the new irons and things. So I've pulled out my original, but see how much longer it takes to solder with the big tip, with the little tip compared to the big one I use. So it's definitely not the most efficient way, and that ground plane really doesn't want to solder to. So I prefer the big tip, but I'm trying to use, yeah, look, it literally hasn't even got enough thermal mass there without probably putting some flux down to help that flow down onto the pads. Yeah, that's struggling. And I'm also running this at 380, whereas I normally run, well, I think I normally run my iron at that, but let's just get all these 3 ground pads bridged, see if we can share the heat, and I might have to, I'll just bump this up, 410, but I think I need probably, well, I have got a few spare tips. I should really keep a few different tips for this iron, because the thin tip is not suitable for doing this. This is like basically impossible if the tip isn't fat enough, but the other tips are in the garage at the minute. I cleaned up yesterday. So I'll tell you what, let me try my fancy new micro hot air thing for this. This will be funny if this works. So I've got this crazy cool new micro hot air, and I bet this will work. Now there's probably too much flux on solder on there though, but I reckon this will work. Pretty cool. I mean, this is 100% not the way you solder a connector on. I should just go get the correct size tip, but I've got new tools, so I want to play. Wow, I think you appreciate how thermally massive these pads are on this board when you're not using the right tools. See, this is why I crank this temperature up in a minute. This is why I always use the fat tip, because you can do all the micro soldering and you can still do the big soldering. You never have to change tips. Come on, I refuse to give up. You are being reflowed by micro hot air. I'm not going to the garage to get a new tip. I'll even change my micro soldering tip. Right then. This is the lengths of my laziness. I'm even going to change the tip on the hot air station in order to do this. So I have let's put, maybe not the largest because that's quite large, let's go with this one. So this tip is about the size of that. Plug in and turn back on. And then away we go. So now we've got a bigger tip, put the air up maybe a little bit. And away we go again. Aren't you glad if you remember you've signed up to watch me do stuff like this? This is how I'm going to teach you to do things. I can't solder. What you need is a micro hot air station with a fat tip. We will succeed. I've got no idea how I'm going to wick away the extra solder though, because there's too much solder on there, but we'll figure that out in a minute. We might have to dual wield the micro hot, there's a point, dual wield, here we go. This is what we do. He goes there, he goes there, oh yeah, there we go. Look at that. Now, how do we get the extra solder off? What you do for that is you get this, you use your tweezers, come on melt, temperature up then, 350, air up a bit. I've, by the way, never used this hot air bar 2 seconds, so I'm figuring out temps as well. It's like the longest winded way of just clearing off one pad. If anyone joins midstream, they're like, what's this idiot doing? Can't even solder. And then I've just looked up and seen a question, how did you learn this? This is not what we should be doing. I just refuse to give up. Come on, you stupid solder pad. There we go. It's going molten. I suppose it's a perfect lesson how to do stuff with the wrong equipment, to show that you could always do something. Come on, lift the solder away. Perfect. There we go. Now we dual wield. And now we have way too much solder on that, but I'm going to slowly wick him away by doing this. See, you can use the complete wrong tools. There we go. Where's my holder for that? Oh, I moved it. There we go. Perfect. Now I could have just literally gone and got the right tip and just gone down these legs in about 3 seconds, but that was a bit more fun. Now let's resolder the 5 volt. There we go. I don't think that's bad. Considering what we've just done it with, that wasn't too bad. Now, that's not what you're going to be taught, by the way, on the subs. That's I will do it properly when I'm teaching people, and I'll get some proper equipment up here. That one's off. That one's off. If I was watching this myself, I'd be absolutely ripping into my own stream right now. Right, clean up my desk as well a minute. I forgot what I was even doing now. We were just putting a connector on, and then I got lost in the world of micro hot air soldering. Let me read the comments. How many people have slated me in the comments? Let's have a look. Go up. Oh, that's the only problem. Comments re-scroll every time one comes in. Ultrasonic cleaner, I got to there, didn't I? Yeah, dishwasher. Seriously, try the dishwasher. You won't be regretting it. Use copper weave. Yeah, that's the desolder braid we use. The tip of the iron's that obviously underpowered for doing that. You were never going to do it. Yeah, I do exactly what you said. That's why I always use a fat tip, so that I can basically solder anything with the fat tip, and then when it comes to fine work, I developed a skill to be able to pretty much solder the finest stuff with the largest tip. That's what I've been doing on all the streams up until this one, until I've changed to this ultra fine Walla tip, which I will bring back a fat tip later because you definitely need them. I'll probably just keep the fine tip and then the I always forget what it's called, the one I use, spade tip maybe, I think it is, or knife tip, I can never remember. But yeah, you can see, like, when you get used to using the knife, I'm not used to soldering the pads in like a set time. Oh no, there's our enemy, the ground pad. Let's stay on the ground pad a minute. See, that one's not too bad because there mustn't be as big of a ground plane around that pad. So that's those connectors on anyway. What we wanted for to test this fully works. We want to make sure it's definitely fully working. How do you check what level sub? At the minute, to be honest, I'll stream to all the sub levels because I just will until we get started. But then on YouTube, and probably on Twitch as well, the live only subs will start becoming the ones at the high tier, or I'll just lower the price, whichever. It all depends, but it's mainly to show you support for the channel, and the ones that pay for the Rusty Club. There's only a few of you, so I know. Well, I've done a bad job of that. I didn't notice that was slanty. You know, I'll remember the people that have subbed on there, and definitely pay a bit more attention to you guys. It's nice to show, see people appreciating what I do. Basically, it's like showing the support. Yes, I'm going to probably hot air would have been my technique here as well. Yeah, hot air, definitely. Small tip is useless in this way. Let's hot air this into position. So you can see how much difference using the right tools makes. Me using a tiny tip for this soldering is not the way. Even putting these connectors on is difficult with just the wrong size tip. So I'm just going to warm the whole connector up with the hot air. It's the only thing I've got on me at the minute that's capable of doing this job. I need to go and fetch the right soldering tips back out the garage. I laugh that we fixed the game gear, the hard bit, and then putting 2 pieces of plastic connector on has turned into the difficult job because I've just not got the right bits on me. This is also burning my hand. There we go. Ooh, that's hot. But for checking membership on it, yeah, you found it now. Yeah, so the Rusty Friend Club is, I think we've only got 3 people in there. So obviously, like I say, I'll definitely make sure I either do something special for you guys, or we'll change the subs at some point so that the live only streams are only for the higher tier. Because that's kind of the point, is that, the more you support, you get more benefits. But just because I've only just started the live only subs, if we do that, we're going to have 2 people in the stream, as opposed, like, I think we've got 30, yeah, that says 31. I think it's actually 30. I think we lost one Twitch sub with me not doing videos for like 5 days. But yeah, there should be, depending on how many people join in as well. It'll be a nice, a lot fewer people, almost one-to-one on the live sub, so we can really go through what we want to do and what you want to learn. So the first one today is going to be showing off the equipment. That's the general idea of that stream, is going to be showing off all the tools I've got, what I use them for, and having a chat with everybody. And then we're definitely going to be teaching like not what I've just shown here, but teaching proper soldering, hardware design, schematics, repairs, everything I do. We're going to be teaching that, and then we will make a PC Engine GT circuit board, so an actual thing that will make, develop, produce. So you learn basically everything we do, but the subs will tell me what they want to learn anyway and what we want to do. That's kind of the point. You guys can let me know what you want to see as we're doing them. Right. Now we have audio board, power board. I guess it's also good as well to struggle with some of the work, like using the wrong size tip there, because that probably highlights more than anything to you guys. When you see it done right, you just think, oh, why doesn't mine do it right? Whereas if you see it being done wrong like that, you see how difficult that was for the most basic task. You can see how very easily you can go from an easy task to feeling like you maybe couldn't do something, or you don't know why something doesn't work, and it's purely, in this instance, is like the tools I'm using. I don't have the right ones on me. So it's a good way to understand problems more than showing you the right way. You learn a lot more being shown the wrong way, basically. That's my excuse anyway. I was just too lazy to get the right tip. But yeah, this micro hot air thing is wicked. I've got that little cartridges with super tiny tips on. I used it yesterday once for like taking off baby resistors right next to plastic. It's so cool. So I want to try and learn more of that as well. Take these in. Right, so this one's fixed. We'll get on to the next one in a minute. I've got another one. I don't know what the other one's problem is. I'm pretty sure it's a re-PCB on something else similar, and I think he's also sent like 3 Game Gears in, and he's happy for me to fix all 3 and pay, I think. Edgebuster instructions are on retro6.wiki. Go to SNES and then go to Clean RGB install. It's a combined install guide for the Clean RGB and the Edgebuster. You basically, if you only want the Edgebuster, you just solder the 5V and ground to 5V and ground on, say, the cartridge connector, which you can find on the schematics, or any 5V and ground you want. And then the inputs, you use input 1, 2 and 3 to go to the PPU transistors. So there's a photo on the wiki. I can pull it up quickly. Let me just pull up that for you. Yeah, soldering, I think people will naturally pick up as well with a bit of learning, whereas the hardware side and a lot of other things we can teach, that just comes with experience pretty much. Right, so SNES, Clean RGB install, and then this is the guide. And if you scroll down, the Edgebusters here, basically it's these transistors, Q3, Q4, I can't remember which actually, but let's get a closer picture. Or is that the closest picture I've done of it? That's the closest picture I've done. If you read it, it'll tell you where. So there, R, G and B. Q3 is R, Q5 and Q7, and you want the bottom left pin. Now it doesn't matter which one you go to. The inputs aren't, you don't have to be red, green and blue. You have 4 inputs, you only need to use 3 of them. So you just solder, there you see, in 1, 2 and 3, go to the bottom left pin of the transistors there, and you want them wires to be as short as possible. And literally, see how close I've gone? Less than an inch. If your wire is, say, this big, it's going to work way worse. If it's that big, it's good. If it's that big, it's the best. So genuinely, the shortest possible distance from the input to them transistors is what makes it work good as well. Once you've installed that, 5V ground, 3 inputs, the outputs go nowhere, and you just flick these switches on the input channels, so the 1, 2 and 3 on here. I personally leave 4 and 1 in the off position, which is up, and this 3 and 2 here, flick them down, so 3 and 2 are turned on. That's a good starting point. If you go too strong, you'll get vertical lines or a lot of harsh edges, and if you're too weak, you'll still have the ghosting. So that's how you do it. I'm literally in the middle of making the combined edge buster and clean RGB, so you don't have to tune anything, and the install is very simple. But for now, that's obviously the one we sell. Right, so this one's good for the customer. That is my power board. For PCB design, I use Ultium, but for the live streams, we'll probably use KeyCAD because Ultium costs like 3,000 a year. I think they've got a free one. Like there's a new Ultium free thing, but I don't think it's anything like the Ultium I use, so I don't fancy learning yet another thing. I mean, maybe we do. Maybe we try the Ultium free one. But either way, it'll be KeyCAD or the free Ultium version. You can transfer them skills over pretty readily. So if you know one, you can kind of do the other. It's not very difficult to go between the two. But Ultium is definitely the best one for sure. Ultium's by far the best PCB design software. And you can, well, you could have up until I think 3 months ago. You could have just brought Ultium like I did for, well, I brought it for 4 or 5 years, but you could have just brought it for 1 year and then not paid for the subscription, and you can still use that version of Ultium, no problem, and you just don't get updates. But now they've just changed it to, unfortunately, a subscription-only rolling subscription, so there's no perpetual licenses anymore. So if you now want to use Ultium, you've got to pay every year or every month. But then on top of that, they've now released a free version, like a cut down version. So I tried it briefly, and because I was used to Ultium, I don't think I could figure it out in 3 minutes, so I just give up, because I own the license to Ultium anyway. But that's something we'll probably look at on one of the live streams again. We'll probably dive into whether we want to use the free Ultium or the KeyCAD. KeyCAD is far more popular for the open source scene and general people because you don't have to pay. So it's likely going to be that, but we'll see. I've just put the note away. I need to know what's even wrong with this one. So let me just try and make sure there's no personal info on this note, which I think there is. Yeah, just at the bottom. Right, so we've got a Discord name I wrote down to remind me. Right, there's no other. Fold that up. I'm just trying to hide all personal info from the note. Right, we're good there. So what we have, tried to make his own basically. He's ordered from us. Basically it just sounds like can't get the Game Gear working, and then he sent it in for, I think this is maybe a repair service for one. I'd have to check the order. But I did reach out because I'm sure he sent. Actually, he hasn't sent multiple. I thought he'd sent a few Game Gears, but there's only one in there. I'm sure I had remembered that he'd sent like 3 Game Gear boards. There is only one. I'll have to double check that then. So we've got one here. For some reason, I got a feeling he'd sent in like 3 Game Gears and wanted all of them repaired. I'm sure he had, but can't see them. So we've got another one basically, same idea to repair. Were you working on soldering in garage? No, I don't solder in the garage. I've just put stuff away in the garage, so I've just like stored all the extra equipment. Literally only just moved it yesterday. Moved all the tips I'm not going to use and things, and forgot I'd taken every single walla tip out the way. So I've only got the micro tip at the minute. I haven't even got a soldering iron with decent thermal mass, so I'll have to grab him after this. Just clean some of the solder off my desk. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to figure out what I'm going to do with this hot air station. It comes with a stupid little gripper thing that doesn't hold the iron at all. And you can't use the original stand from the other the other hot air station, because it's got a magnet in this one that turns it on and off. Hey, welcome in, Dark Ninja. Glad you're liking the vids. Right, so the customer sent in this. We'll probably use this. It's taking this out, so I think it's just put it back in the box. So there's the ribbon. So we'll use the customers just to make sure it works when we get it working. That, you know, everything they're going to get is all the working parts. Love your products. Use them exclusively. Thank you very much. It definitely helps us, because we're not like a lot of people think we're like a huge company. We're literally a tiny family-run company. So everyone that supports us and buys our stuff does help us. If people stop using our stuff, then we wouldn't really have the business. Right, that one goes in there. A 3D printer stand, yeah, that'd potentially work, but it would have to be. I'm just thinking it'd have to be where the hot air. Oop, oh, that tip didn't tighten that tip on well. It'd have to be where the hot air, because when you put it in a stand, see how there's nothing for it to grip on. So it wants to grip upright like that. So the stand on this one is like just a little latch that's meant to sit upright. So, and then this, the problem is this tube, then the stand would have to be 6 foot tall to stop that. It's like a stupid design, really. They've made this handle where it wants to sit up, not down. So it's kind of annoying. If I find the right position for it, I think it'd be fine, but because hot, yes. Ooh, hot. Because that's the only place I can get it fit in this room is like literally glued to my CRT monitor, and I keep knocking it. It's not the best. I'll figure something out, but I think the stand would be maybe it'd have to be that tall and that heavy to not fall over, because it can't point down. So thanks for offering, but I think I'll have to figure it out first, because I'm not sure if it'll work on this desk. I just really need to yeah, I need to think of something. Maybe what I can use is the original stand. That's what I could maybe. Oh no, it doesn't go in a stand, that's the problem. The nozzle doesn't fit in a stand downwise because of the shape of the nozzle. It's kind of annoying. Right, let's look at this one. Don't know what's wrong with it. Let's check soldering first. Pretty much same as the last one, I guess. Let's have a look at if everything's okay. Let's zoom right in. Get the tweezer. Oh, that's there we go, perfect. Let's check all these pins, make sure they're solid. Yep, they're all good. If you notice any problems as well, by the way, just put a comment on. Sometimes I don't notice problems and you guys do. Like you'll see a join or a blob or something I overlook, because I'm normally staring at the stream or the chat and then overlook things. That soldering looks nice. I don't think there's going to be a problem on there. That looks loose though. Nope, just looks it, but it isn't. So I'm going to go down this side first. Yeah, they're looking quite slanted, but I do that sometimes. As long as they're on, doesn't really matter. Oh, there you go, that one's loose. So it might be the same thing again. Remember this one if we can. Put a tiny. No, I won't put a mark. So it's the one between the 2 and the 1 we need to remember is loose. And that one's loose. And that one's, yeah, so soldering basically again. Let's not bother pushing any more legs. We don't want to realign these too much. All I'm going to do is reflow this. So CPU needs a reflow again. It seems to be same as the other one. CPU seems to be the one that people struggle with. It's obviously the finest pitch one. And I guess what I'm going to use is my micro hot air, I think, to reflow the CPU this time. Just for a change. I want to get used to that micro iron. When I tried it yesterday for the first time, the reflowing didn't seem very good. But it's just I'm not used to it. So I think if I got used to it, it's definitely a good, powerful tool. I just need to learn the skills to use it. Hey, welcome in. Instagram is retro. I think it's Retro 6 or Retro 6 UK. Actually, no, the new one. Sorry, the new one is 6.retro. We used to have one Retro 6. I think it was Retro 6 or Retro 6 UK. But we went through a phase where I was going to expand into more stuff than retro because we kept having tons of like modern stuff, and we also wanted a shorter symbol. So with the 6 symbol we've got, so we had. We almost kind of rebranded the company in a sense to 6, but then we're now 6 Retro. So like the limited company is technically 6 Retro Limited, but the Instagram is 6.retro, and the rest are like Retro 6 or Retro 6 US. Sorry, Retro 6 UK. We have a Retro 6 US. It's not me that does that. It's a guy called Crossface Gaming. We've worked with him and seen him for years and trust him with our brand in the US, so he fully heads up our US Retro 6 as well. So the only problem with this one appears to be the CPU. The soldering looks good, but it obviously just hasn't quite taken. So I'm going to try. I'll probably end up reflowing it properly, but let me just try and mess with my new micro hot air station. I want to see if we can get this reflowing with micro hot air. Actually, I'll probably leave it zoomed out like that a bit. So turn this on, fan, and again, I've no idea what settings or things I need for this at all. So I know we'll need flux. I don't know whether it's going to work this way. This is not why I brought the micro hot air station, but I just want to use it. It's cool. So I've got this little, well, let me show you again. I haven't really seen it. This little handheld micro hot air. So this blows obviously hot air, but through a cartridge, so it gets heated all the way through. And yeah, I can hold my hand against it at the minute there. So maybe turn the temps up a bit. You have to play with this. I haven't figured out the temperatures yet. Like, you know, the best temperatures for temperatures and airflows, because I've never used it. So I'm at 380 degrees and about 45% airspeed. I'm going to have to zoom in more on that, I think. And I just want to see if we can reflow the pins using this. Just more of a curiosity thing than anything. And again, distance-wise, I've no idea yet. I'm about half an inch. Well, no, I'm probably closer to an inch away at the minute. And I think maybe we don't want that much airflow. I think that's quite aggressive on the airflow. Let me turn that down. Right, that's on about 25% airflow now. That's better. It doesn't sound as whistly. And I've no idea what I'm looking for yet, because like I say, I've not really used this to get a visual, but we should obviously see the pins reflowing, so you can actually see the pins reflowing there, see them going liquidous one at a time as we're going over. So that is reflowing the pins. It just doesn't look the same as when you do a mass hot air reflow, but that's obviously working. Yeah, so you can see them reflowing. It's just completely different visually. It's like a lot more controlled and slow, and you're reflowing the pins almost one at a time, and as you move away the pins cool down pretty rapid. So yeah, that's a good way to controlled reflow the pins. That's working. So that's a good temp. We've got 380 Celsius and about 25% airspeed. that also slides on those tips, so that's better. Put the spare nozzles down the side, maybe. There we go. So yeah, that looked like it worked. So let's see if it has actually worked. These were the pins that were loose. Is that a metal system? What do we mean by that? I don't know what a metal system is, to be honest. Oh yeah, there's loads of ways you can literally run down. You can run down all the pins with an iron, with a fat tip. You can go down every pin individually with a soldering iron. You can reflow the whole chip. My personal preference for doing it best is to hot air the whole CPU. That's how I'd reflow this. I'd rewarm the entire CPU. I just wanted to try out that micro iron to see if it works. Just more again, I'm liking trying new techniques on things. But the most efficient way will be hot airing the entire chip. So that's on now. That's on. Let me move this vertical camera yet again as well in a second because it's slightly off. Yeah, they're rock solid. So that reflow has worked perfect. So micro hot air is also a way to do that. But now what I'll do is I'll do the conventional, well not conventional as such, it's the new way. Let me put, where is it? What have I done with that? Have I lost me hot air tip thing again? There's behind there. I'm going to use this thing. So what we're going to use is a hot air with just the grills. So the hot air is only going to come through here. Going to go straight over and down right onto them pins. So it's just going to reflow them pins. You've just seen us do this and it works good. So this is really the way you'd want to do it. I just like to play with all the different ways. Yeah, the micro hot air, I just love it. It's like, with it being new, it's exciting. I don't want to use it for everything. That's why I've just been soldering like pins on here for no reason and stuff. It's more, not necessarily the best tool for the jobs I'm currently using it on, but it's fun and I want to also get used to learning it and see what it is capable of. So say you just had one pin you knew needed reflowing and you didn't want to use your iron for whatever reason, maybe I've got a fat tip on the iron or I just prefer hot airing at that time, you could go in with the like, micro hot air and just reflow that section. So it's just good to have the options, you know, different tools, and it's also enjoyable to learn. It's literally one of the main reasons I do what I do. I love learning new stuff, so the fact I've not used a micro hot air is the main reason I want to use it at the minute. Not necessarily because I think it's the best best thing for the job. I just want to use it, basically. So this is now back to Big Bertha. We're going to reflow this chip. So pretty simple, 380 degrees, sorry, 330 now I've got on this hot air. 80% airspeed. I'm just going to hold it above there and we're going to look for these pins really here. So see these pins down here and here. We're going to look for them bubbling and reflowing, and maybe extra light. Will that help the camera? Or, yeah, that helps the camera now. So if I move that there, and we don't really move this one around. How you move the other one around, you don't really move this one around. You just keep it in place. And we're going to go over them pins, and the last time this took about 30 to 60 seconds at most, because it's dedicated direct heat over them pins. Oh, Metcal. No, I would like a Metcal system. Literally, that's about as high as you get, really. But no, I've not actually used them before. But it's certainly something I'd like to try out. So there you go. You can see the pins are all reflowing nicely already. The first stage of bubbling where you're seeing here, I'll normally let it get up to temp where it's bubbling like this, a little bit longer, and then I'll go in with a second round of flux. This will cool the pins back down a bit, get flux where you want it, and then the second reflow now usually gets them nice and round. So this definitely works better than moving your hot air station around. It's very direct heat to where you need it to be. And then what I'll do after a few more seconds I will push down on the chip to make sure them pins, if the pins are bent, basically with this being a non-new chip, some of the pins can be higher up than they want to be, so you push it down in order to make sure the pins are low down on the connector and make good contact. You don't normally have to do this if the chip's brand new. Ah, nice, yeah, the UV curer. Oh, I've also got, I think I showed off on the last stream when we haven't really lifted these chips off yet, but I've got the little chip lifters, so instead of using tweezers to lift them off, we're using little suction tools now, which work good as well, so you just never accidentally bend the pins. Yeah, I am definitely going to have to figure out a better position for this soldering, this hot air station. Clean the flux while it's warm. And I've already spotted one issue this customer's got, as well as them pins, that may or may not be a major problem, but as I was cleaning this... Oh, we forgot to put the other one in the ultrasonic cleaner, didn't we? Chuck this one in. There we go, that one's in the ultrasonic cleaner. Yeah, I've spotted a slight problem. I don't know how he's using our crystal. I don't know where he's got it from. Or maybe this was... Oh, I think actually this was... I think this was meant to be a pre-built board from us, you know. If I remember right, I think this customer sent it back because he brought this pre-built from us. And it doesn't work, so maybe that was our shit soldering there. Because it's got the crystal on and we don't sell them at the minute. So this must be one I've screwed up or Zach screwed up on the soldering. Or, well, it obviously would have been tested and working, but the fact they looped in place but then they moved, it probably worked at the time, and then the slight movement, it's bent them pins off. So that's probably, I think that's what this is. I think this is our soldering that we're fixing, not the customers. Yeah, that all looks soldered in place now. But I was going to say I've spotted a problem because that's removed. Which technically it also is, because you don't remove that with this crystal. So that one's putting back on as well. So it's a bit strange because that's... I'm going to blame Zach on this one, because I hot air them on and I wouldn't have removed that crystal. Whereas Zach probably would, and then maybe use that. I don't know, because Zach also doesn't use these, so it has to be me. So I can't blame Zach. I think this is just me and I've not noticed something. Or the customer's removed that to try and fix it. I genuinely don't really know at this point. Either way, we're obviously fixing this for the customer anyway. So let's see what was that resistor, and I'll put it back on. And I might be completely wrong, but I'm sure the fact it's got that crystal on must mean we've built it. I don't think there's any other way you'd get that. That resistor is 620 ohm we need. This is the perfect actual use case. This is exactly where the micro hot air station should be used. Mic stand with a magnet attached to hold. Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah, that might work actually. I think, in fact, that probably would work. It's just free-handed. I'd have to think, yeah. I'm definitely going to have to figure something out. I'll play around with that. Oh, the cat kit. Thought I'd grab the resistor book. Where's the resistor book? 620 ohm. Ah, yeah, the tweezers as well. I've actually got some wire tweezers. I just never use them, but I've got them out again because I have them. So I've got these ones for tweezers, and again, this is one you could use for doing this, but I'm going to use my micro hot air just because he's a new toy. Yeah, see me on Homes Under the Hammer. Yeah, I've done. I do house flipping as well. So buy houses, fix them up, sell them on. We're just in the middle of doing another one at the minute. That is, to be honest, probably only a few weeks off being ready. I went and gutted the plumbing the other day, about a week or so ago. But yeah, do quite a lot of things. Right, hot air. I've got this now. Me micro hot air is. I wouldn't normally use it. Well, I've barely used it. I've used it once or twice, but I would have thought I don't want to use the tip that's on here because it's quite big. So we've obviously got a tip that's that large. So I don't think you need a tip that large, but I'm still going to try him. I'm going to keep him at that 380 and 20% airspeed. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to try and hot air this right down. Ooh. And just like when you're hot airing anything, you need to try and keep hold of the component until it takes on one of the pads. So what I might do is melt one of the pads first, like that. Go in with there. Oh, perfect, look at that. Perfectly soldered on, I like that. Defo one of my favourite tools. Baby hot air. So we've got Big Bertha and Baby now. And then you're also not warming any other part of the board up. It's just cool, I just like it. Right, so that is back on. This will need an ultrasonic bath. Let's take a look at the other one as well. That's just finished in the ultrasonic. Zoom in out a bit now. Yep, HDMI ports on PS5s. If you just go to retro6.co.uk, go to send in service PS5, and there's a HDMI swap option there. And then if we take out the chip basket, we've got, as you can see, the ultrasonic board here. So this one's been in the ultrasonic. I might just chuck this one in while we're at it. Well, if you look at this as well, look at all the, if I show you the grime underneath, see all the yellow under all here, all the flux and all the dirt on. I'm going to plonk him straight in the ultrasonic as he is. Give him probably, he's set up by default for 3 minutes, so we'll see what that does. This is the one that's just come out, and look, hasn't done the best job. Still see all the flux. That's what I'm saying about ultrasonic cleaners, they're not the best. The best is definitely dishwasher. You'd have nothing on this. If this was in the dishwasher and you looked through this now when it came out, you know, you've still got flux here. This is what I mean about ultrasonic cleaners. To me, they're almost as good as useless. They like, just don't seem to do anything. So, but at least it's had a clean in there. And I've tried many ultrasonic cleaners as well. I've probably owned about 6. And this one was actually the best of the bunch, but I just don't think ultrasonic cleaners are all they're cracked up to be. Not for PCB cleaning anyway. Let's flip him over as well. Let's put this one in the other way so that the dirty chips are facing down towards the bubbles, because that's how the ultrasonic generally works, as the exploding bubbles kind of disrupt the dirt and grime basically. Thanks for the YouTube bids on the C#. Yeah, no problem. I've just done a weekend series, funnily enough, on I made this software. I think this is where it goes all funky when I move it over to the screen. Let me try. What do I do here now? I'm trying to remember. I've only just made it yesterday. I can't remember what I'm doing. Pull this. Yeah, so see how it's like kind of showing this weird double thing here. This is software I've got here, and I can turn on this to show it on screen. But then if I hide the PC just because it's making kind of a double visual there, and I move that back over to the right screen so it scales. This now connects to my real multimeter, and I have the probes here. So for example, on here I can connect first, so I can click connect to the multimeter. That's connected, it's changing to volts DC. Now if I change it to say continuity, you guys can see on screen, there we go, literally like a nice colour changing thing for continuity. We have like a temperature probe mode as well. If I put a temperature probe in, this is obviously not the right thing for temperature, so it's probably going to show a completely random temperature. Yeah, because these are obviously not the way a temperature probe works is it's a set resistance that changes with temperature. So this is getting confused because these aren't temperature, but I've got cool colours, as you can see. When it gets hot it goes fire, when it's cold it goes white, and everything in between it changes colours. But I've shown you how to make that entire software. Basically, I'll disconnect that now. Yeah, I've shown you how to make that software completely, all open source on Angel 6, which is the other YouTube thing I do for my software. Well, let's see if this is any better now. It's been in the Ultrasonic for 3 minutes. The other one was in for longer, obviously warming up, but let's see. And again, similar to the other one, it looks like it doesn't really touch much. You know, it does partial cleaning. And all you've got to do is wipe with the cloth, and you've still got the gunk on it. It does absolutely nothing. So if you guys know, or anyone that uses PCB ultrasonic cleaners, tell me why it doesn't work ever. And I've tried like 6 different brands, and this one was like probably a £400 ultrasonic cleaner, if not more. It's got all the right fluids in, just never does anything. Like, it's practically as good as not using a cleaner. That's why I use the dishwasher. So he's probably going to go back in the garage, to be honest, unless anybody wanted to buy him. Or unless somebody can tell me, I'd like to get it working, but just doesn't ever do anything. Never gets rid of the flux or anything. This is what I used to find, and this is why I kind of stopped using them years ago. Look, it's like literally flux just sitting there. It's not done anything. Just sat in hot water, and you might as well have not done anything, basically. I just don't think they work. Right, so on this one now, I think we're ready to test, basically. Yeah, we found loose pins on the CPU again, didn't we? But this is the one I suspected was actually my work. But I'll have to check up on that, because I can't remember. Screen. Right then, Sonic, in fact, yeah, where's my Sonic? Let's start with my known working cartridge connector, and then we'll use the customers after. And let's see if this works. Now there's nothing at all on screen there, so let's flick backlight test on, screen test on. Yes, there's no actually coming out of reset. There's nothing happening at all. So let's disconnect this. Yep. So this is like completely. You can ignore that because that's now a test screen. We're not coming out of reset. So I can't see this being one we've done, just because it wouldn't have gone out dead. Like, we literally build them and test them. The Ultrasonic is set to 80 degrees. I don't think you can go much hotter. No, that's the max. The maximum temperature on it's 80 degrees, and that is hot water. And the dishwasher only gets up to 80, 90 degrees at most, I think, and that cleans them perfect. I just think that, I don't know, they just don't work. And bear in mind, the dishwasher just uses soap and hot water. That's no different than what's in there, really, and that doesn't work. Yeah, I replied on the PS5 thing. If you go to retro6.co.uk, go to send-ins, then PS5, there's a HDMI port swap option there. Keep getting the screen flashing black as well. I think my PC's struggling with all the stream data. Right, let me just take this out. See if we can get to red light boot first. The meaning behind Retro 6 and Angel 6. I've started Angel 6. Got green light now. I need a speaker. Could be the clean screen connector or the clean screen itself, maybe. I started Angel 6 when I was literally like... I started software when I was about 10, and I kind of come up with Angel 6 about 16, probably. 15, 16, something like that. And genuinely just sounded cool. Just sat there and tried to think of cool names. Just that sounded good to say. So there's no no magic behind the Angel 6 side, just was cool when I was a kid. And then Retro 6 was just a natural thing. I've already got a software company, do other things, and when I went into Retro, I just then repurposed the name and just said Retro 6, and it, so there's nothing, unfortunately, no deeper meaning behind it. It just sounds cool. Let me go and get this speaker now so we can just test if this is loading. So I've just got the speaker in the other room because I'm just literally doing the, I'm putting into mass production today the clean screen version 4, so I've just got this in the other room while I'm testing it. Right, that's on speaker in gaming, so let's see if we get game audio. We might have to click reset once, it doesn't always boot first time. No. See, that's now lost reset. No. Ooh. Jeez. Okay, this is where something I didn't expect. I know this is one I've killed. This is how you know it's me. Let's take a look at that VDP. Let's turn this thing on. So this takes about 10 seconds, I think, to boot. There we go, it's booted faster. Look at that. What do you see there? That should not be that hot. Like, that burns compared to the others. You see, it's noticeably hotter. So I know what's happened there, because I am the master at killing these VDPs. That was way hotter than it was a minute ago as well. I couldn't even touch it. Now I can touch it. There's no way that was coincidence. This was like burning my finger, I'm sure. So I've got a feeling, if this is one I built, see now it's cooled down, I think maybe the VDP is bad on this, and it's one that was working and then has died maybe. I could be wrong, but the fact that that was genuinely burning to touch a minute ago, when I've just put my hand on it, I just happened to grab, that was on fire and nearly burnt my finger. So I think that's intermittently faulty VDP, and it's like, it's gone out working clearly, and then something's gone wrong. That's my thought. And the fact we get nothing on screen as well. In fact, something else is going on, I think, yeah. Oh yeah, something's smoking. Yeah, there you go. See see that on fire? Did you see the smoke then? I just literally saw the puff of smoke out of that. And that's why that's not coming on, because it's draining. Yeah, there you go. 3 amps. We might as well just leave it to kill itself. But, oh, there you go. It's actually CPU. 160 degrees on the CPU. Yeah, so there's, look, it's smoking. That's what you call a dead CPU. We're just pumping power through it. So, I don't think I've ever seen that before. The VDP might be okay, and I've touched underneath, and it's the CPU that's actually dead. But intermittently, so it was working, and now it's literally, that's why I was burning my finger. 160 degrees. And then obviously you just heard it internally explode as well. So, I can only think then, like I say, a working chip that's no longer working. So let's grab a CPU and do a swap. What we're working on, this is a Game Gear. I'm not sure whether it was a return or a send-in for a repair. I didn't really look it up too much, but we've just figured out, well, the CPU's just smoked and exploded on us. So we know where the problem is. It's this CPU. So I'm just going to do a complete swap of the CPU. Now we've done Well, we might as well use this tool we're using at the minute. I have a new hot air station with a tip that's like this, shaped the same as the actual CPUs, so I can just put some flux around here, and then hot air it straight off. So we get nice and close. On this you should be able to see. And I think we said it helps with a bit of extra light on the camera. Kind of worked good for showing. It should adapt in a minute to the brightness level, hopefully. And what we're looking for is the... probably take this cartridge connector out a minute, it's on the way. We're looking for the legs to start bubbling at the bottom. And then I've got this tool that I'm going to grab on. It's kind of up to see. I'm going to grab on this and lift off when it's molten. And then we'll put a new one back on. But yeah, bad CPU by the looks of it. Pick your brain on something. Yeah, just go ahead and ask the question. If I don't notice it, just ask again. Sometimes I don't spot all the comments. BBC computers, yeah, the BBC Micros. I've done quite a few repairs. They're pretty basic systems. There's not much to them really. No pun intended. BBC Micro basics. They run the basic stuff. I've got a. I don't think it's a Masters. I think I've got a normal one, just a 128 stored away. I think still. I don't know. If I used it for a repair or not. I can't remember. But yeah, I've worked on them a bit, nothing massive, but they're also not that complicated. There's some videos on my TikTok, if you went to TikTok Retro 6, and then I've got playlists in the videos, and you'll probably find, there we go, it lifts off nice and easy. So look at how easy that was to lift off. You probably didn't even see that. So you can just like put the chip down, stick on, lift up. So he's dead. He's literally exploded on us, so we know he's bad. Yeah, this definitely need somewhere to place that air. Let's clean him up. The pins look all okay, and I don't think we need any more solder on them. So we will put this down, fresh flux. We'll pick up this one that's come off another one, and I'm going to place him down. And the only thing is with this, I want this to be as accurate as possible, position-wise, because when we come to do the hot airing down, this is one of the downsides to the hot air. I can't really nudge him while we're reflowing because it kind of covers everything, so he wants to be as accurate as we can get him to start with. Is the only downside to this method. Right, I think that's accurate enough there, so let's go for that. Same idea again, we've got flux underneath, but I'll double flux after. We don't need the grabber now, he can go out the way. And we'll just go over the chip and wait for them legs to bubble. I don't know whether that's a bit too zoomed in for it to focus on, or... It's not doing the greatest job of focusing that camera. I mean, you can see, I can see, but we're just looking for these legs to all bubble up. Maybe it doesn't like the light being that intense, maybe. Move the light away. Nah, I think it's better with light on. Yeah, you see more of the bubbling when the light's on. Just sometimes doesn't seem to want to focus quite as good. Right, so once we've got it, I think that's pulled into position and bubbling. I'll push down, and see, you can't get over while you're pushing down, so I'm just going to let that solidify in position a second, then I'll flux it and reflow it once more. So you can see the bottom legs are still bubbling, we're just waiting for that to stop. Then give it a few more seconds because the top is still bubbling. The 6 just sounded cool in the name. Angel 6 when I was saying it. It was literally, that's how I used to make up names when I was a kid. Just random stuff, and it genuinely just sounded cool. There was literally nothing else about the number 6, it just sounded cool. Right, so that's got some fresh flux. We'll go down once more and reflow, and then this should be good. And hopefully this one doesn't explode. If it does, something else weird's going on, but I've never seen that before. It was obviously just an internal short to the CPU that went thermonuclear on us. Temperature and flow of this is 330 degrees Celsius and 80% airspeed. Yeah, this PC is definitely struggling at the minute with the capture. Keeps flickering. Leave that on a second. We don't mod Nintendo Switches anymore. No, we were getting far too many in. So obviously we don't want to get in trouble with Nintendo and stuff. So we ended them a while ago, unfortunately. Single beep on the BBC Micro. There's basically the ROMs at the front. You've got like the Acorn ROMs and the DFSs and things. I think it might be on retro6.wiki. I don't know whether I did a few basic diagnostics of minimum boots, but more than likely, just with the age of the consoles, it's remove all the ROM, any chip in a socket, remove, clean with, either put the whole board in a dishwasher if you remove all the components. If not, just spray IPA into the connector sockets and insert and remove the chips a few times. It could just be physical connections that are bad, or you could have one of the ROMs, one of the front ROMs could have died. Let me just check the wiki whether I made notes on the minimum boot. There's also, I've put a note on, if I pull up the wiki for you, where's my mouse gone? So go to retro6.wiki, go to BBC Micro, see the single beep. If you get a single beep and underscore cursor, a single second low beep with nothing followed by a high beep, this is a fairly common keyboard. If not, we have some info here, bad FS map. Yeah, it looks like I didn't really write too much about the diagnostics because again they're so simple, but I do remember yeah, I haven't made any real notes of me fixing them because, like I say, they're just fairly basic. There's the ROMs at the front, like your Acorn ROMs, your DFS, I think it's bottom right of the console. Try removing them all and then inserting just the basic ROM and see if that helps first, but it's more than likely going to be you need to clean the sockets or one of them ROMs failed is the main guess, I'd say, without obviously seeing it myself. Right, let's take a look at my soldering. I can close down Ultium, I don't need that now. Do you use Teensy? What, the microcontrollers Teensy? If so, no, not really. Mainly P. Right, that looks okay from there. I'm not going to bother tweezering every leg because I'm going to test if it works. And you've just seen it reflow, so you can see how nice them solder joints are. Sometimes you can just tell from looking that you've definitely got a good solder, and that's flawless. That's the other thing that's making me think it's not us, because this is, you know, I don't think I built the, I can't see me building this board in one way because the solder didn't look the best. Like, it looks good, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that solder. But the main thing that makes me think it was mine is it's got the custom crystal we made on. And then I think the CPU's just randomly died on the customer bad looks of it, or maybe they've inserted something that's killed it, or I don't know. But it would have gone out working because you guys obviously see us. We literally test everything, and it goes out. It's just one of them things that can fail randomly. They are old machines, so just because it worked here, literally just travelling and coming back, it can stop working. But let's see if now we don't get to, yeah, this. I don't know why this stream's struggling so much today. I suppose the only thing is I've got even more capture going on. I've now got a capture card for the, well, a capture in for the multimeter. Maybe that's struggling it, I don't know. Right, so that's on, they're fine, speaker in. Let's see if this works or sets on fire again. If it sets on fire, we've got bigger issues. Right, so that's now not setting on fire, but we have, that's a strange, how is that a test screen? The current is nothing, which is also not quite right. We should be pulling something. Yeah, something is definitely not right here. Obviously the chips aren't overly warm. I think this clean screen's bad. I think whatever's gone on with this, I don't know whether they plug something in that's blown something up, but that's got test screen mode on. It's not even pulling up the test screen now. So I'm going to definitely suspect that's bad. Let's try this without. No audio. Yeah, nothing at all. No sound, no attempt at sound. Let me try. I wonder if it could have been that USB being dead shorted has really maybe even knackered the USB port. So let's just try a... Well, this kind of won't help with the power cord because I'm going to use the same USB, but yeah, I reckon that's not got the 5 volts. I reckon if we probe the voltage, let's see what's going on with voltage. I think that dead short's done more damage than just that. So connect back to the multimeter. We'll go to ground, and where's a 5 volt test pad? 5 volt down here. And we got 5 volts. Okay, let's try. I've also got a cool thing on here. Never tested this yet, but we have like a frequency mode on this this multimeter thing. So let's see if can we actually probe. I doubt this will work. Where's P clock? Let's see if we can probe P clock and get anything out of it. Like, I don't think this would work anyway. Yeah, 5. Like, I don't trust what that's saying because it's not obviously not a scope. But I did, saying that, I did actually test that. I did test that on like 2 megahertz, but then again, this is 32 megahertz, so I doubt that test would work. So let's pull up the proper tool for that. Let's get the picoscope up. We're going to need a ground, so ground on there will do. So it's a bit of a long ground, but it'll do us for what we need to see. Scope's all set up, so let's probe on P clock, pull it up on screen, and turn on. Yeah, so we got crystal. Do we get sample pin? We get sample, which I don't think that's right though, to be honest. Can't remember. I'd have to check the wiki if that's the... So I think 16 meg was maybe the sample rate. Check the wiki. Yeah, it is, because you get that pulsing. So CPU's running. Is it just the... What's going on there? Is this froze as well? This is a... Yep. This picoscope's froze as well. Get in. Let me reopen that. Let's reconfigure it again. Right. That we've got again. Measure frequency. Right, so that's all fine. Right, back to the data pins. So data, yeah, nothing on data. Nothing. H-sync we're getting, V-sync. So we're getting H-sync and V-sync. So we should see stuff on screen, but it's obviously not loading. But we weren't even seeing stuff on screen. That's what's making me think this clean screen. I think this has had some kind of catastrophic death and might be worth just swapping the whole board, because the fact the CPU blew up and it's got a new CPU, and I don't think this clean screen was working based on what I saw. So yeah, this shouldn't be doing this. The backlight seems to barely work. The test screen isn't working. Like, so this should work with test screen. Like, there's no reason that shouldn't be showing a test screen now and it's not. So that's also no good what it's got, which again, there's no way this is this will have gone out like this dead, if you know what I mean. So I think something's happened. I think maybe the customer's plugged in that backwards or something. Something's got to have happened to this for it to be this dead. So let's see. Let's plug in another clean screen, because I know it's not loading game at the minute, but the clean screen also isn't even reacting the way it should. Basically, we're not getting test screen, which we did before the CPU blew up as well, actually. So maybe that CPU dying just killed the clean screen, because we did see test screen before then. So flick on backlight, test. Yeah, so see, that's died as well with the CPU dying. But now we're getting basically no game load, so we can turn that off. Turn that off. So that works. We just need to see if is it just a issue with game load. Just try and clean the port. Nope, so just black screen. The black screen's good because it means something's working, but that's not loading game. Let's try, even though this has just worked in another one. That turned on. Yeah, we're getting no audio at all is the thing, like not even a static sound. Again, like normally you get a static sound when things are working. Again, absolutely nothing. So I think we're probably better. I don't know whether we're better just scrapping this re-PCB and giving the customer another one, because if we could go down the route of, you know, the audio chip being bad, the VDP and things, so I think we're best just I'm gonna, for this one, just because we've seen what's happened on the board, this is literally exploded on us. I don't trust this board. I'm not gonna repair this board. I could go down the route of it, but we've seen the clean screen die, the CPU was dead already, and then literally blew up on us. So I'll take the chips off these. I'll take these 3 chips off, but I'm not going to use this board. I'm going to replace the re-PCB completely in this instance, and give the customer a new one. So that's just one of them where we've seen something fairly catastrophic happen on the board, and I wouldn't want to risk putting other things on this board that are going to potentially, this board could then kill it. I don't know what's going on with it. I can't explain there. I don't really know whether it's gone out that way and the CPU's randomly failed, and then the CPU exploding has then killed the clean screen. I don't know, but he's a donor. He's obviously dead. This board I'm not going to trust, so I'm going to just cross this off, and I'll get the customer a brand new board, I'll build up another clean re-PCB, basically. That's the solution for that one. Sometimes it just isn't worth trying to fix a board. I've made these boards so they don't cost me as much as I sell them, and I prefer to make sure, you know, the components stay alive more than the re-PCB gets reused. And I've got another meeting in half an hour and I need to prep. So I think that's it for this stream. Also, like I say, the screen's flickering quite a bit at the minute, so I've got a feeling my PC needs a break or something, because it's definitely struggling. But yeah, that one's it's going to be fixable. I might do it on stream later. I might just save this one to swap the chips over and do it later, or I might just get the job done and out the way. It all depends. I'll be back on at 4 o'clock today for the subs, so we're doing the first sub-only live stream. So if you are a member on YouTube or Twitch, then you should see me at 4 o'clock. And then if not, I'll probably be back on tomorrow for everybody else as well. So I'll put this one out the way for the customer. And get that built up as well. So yeah, I think that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for joining in. The clean screen is our reinterpretation of the Game Gear's screen, so it's obviously one we've made. We have a working one here from that we just made, but obviously the clean screen's not attached to this. We have I've probably got one in here fully built, ready to go, so here's a fully working one. If we put the game in quickly to show you, I guess. Let's put this Sonic in we just used into here. And then flip over. This is our, oh, it's the other side now. Restart. There's our screen. So it's basically like a brand new IPS screen, modern screen, instead of the old, really difficult to see screens. So that's the clean screen, this thing here, and the whiteboard on the back you just saw us replace. So this is the clean screen. This white PCB on the outside is called the re-PCB. It's the original Game Gear's PCB, remade by me. So you can obviously repair them and put the chips on. And what we do for most of these is we put on, let's get these off. We put on these 3 chips, which are the heart of the Game Gear. This is just a Z80. This isn't really specific to the Game Gear, but these 2 are custom chips that are only found on the Game Gear, nowhere else. So this is what makes a Game Gear a Game Gear. So we've remade all the other stuff, and then you transplant effectively the heart of the Game Gear onto these boards. So you're still running a genuine Game Gear, just with a modern screen and a modern PCB that isn't rotted and is going to last you many more years. That's the main thing we sell, to be honest. That's probably the most popular. And you've probably seen, when I've spun the camera around earlier, you've probably seen we've got like 5 on the desk from today, and we've got more to build. So there's some built up, 4 grey ones built up, a Game Boy, there's another cream Game Gear, that's all from yesterday. So yeah, we sell tons of these, like literally it's the bread and butter really. Right, there we go. Back to the start. Yeah, it should see you then. Any issues, jump on the Discord. Even if you're not in the members chat, just DM or message anywhere, and I'll make sure I'll have Discord open while we're doing the live stream. Probably be like a 2-hour stream to start with. Again, just getting used to it, making sure the sub-only stream works, and introducing everybody, and, you know, seeing how it's going to work. Basically, it's just a fleshing it out and seeing how well the idea is going to work. Yeah, this is definitely flickering a lot. I'll have to check. That's plugged in. That, I wonder if it's just the cable, because I've got a... No, cable's fine. It must just be the capture. I think I need a more powerful PC for how much I stream. Yeah, right then guys, I will catch you later on or tomorrow. Thanks for joining in. Panasonic Q, we don't repair them anymore, unfortunately. Tip in the centre of that, it would work for the hot air maybe. I kind of like the shaped tip. It does do a really good job, and then just move it away, push down, and move it back in after. I think, to be honest, just practicing that, I'll be able to get that working. Oh, sorry, yeah, that question above, let me just quickly have a look at that. Went to do my PC on yesterday, it wouldn't turn on. Get a start up on the mobile, LED lights, but not power on. Mobile, what I tried a good PSU, tried jumping pins on the mobile, tried limited startup, just one RAM, CPU mobile, tried clean CMOS. It could be your GPU. Try removing the GPU. Some modern motherboards now, they'll give you like a long beep and then 3 fast beeps, so it'll like go beep, 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 and then start booting. That's saying it can't detect a graphics card. But if you remove the graphics card and you hear that beep sequence, you know the graphics card is probably bad and it's holding up boot. That's the only other thing I could recommend to try, other than it being potentially the motherboard, but it can also be your CPU. I've got the 14900K, not the 13900, and that died and got replaced under warranty because they had a fault where the motherboards were basically overvolting the CPUs and they die. I don't know whether the 13900K has got that same issue. Let me just quickly Google for you, actually, because it might be that you've got the same thing and your CPU's actually dying and it's under warranty. Does the 13900K have the same fault as the 14900K voltage? Let's have a quick look. Yeah, it does. So you've got what you've got there. You've got exactly what my other PC's got. You've got a dead CPU and it's covered under warranty. It's fully covered under warranty. Let me find you the link. Basically, the firmware on your motherboard, it's an argument between it was an Intel problem and a motherboard problem, and the BIOS is on your motherboard you want to update, because if you don't, you're going to kill the replacement CPU as well. So let me just see. Voltage warranty page. But yeah, I had to replace my 14900K for exactly the same reason. It's got a known fatal flaw, which is quite shocking. I was quite pissed off about it. Let me see if I can find you. Right, so you want to start here. Start at that link. But basically, if you search for 14900K voltage issue, you'll find it for the 13900K as well. It's a well-documented thing. There's a big YouTuber guy that covered it. So you'll find it everywhere. Once you search for 14900K voltage issue, you'll find all the issue about it. But you're fully covered under warranty. I entered it on Intel's website, given me serial number, which you have to just look at the CPU itself, get the serial number. They'll send you one within like a week. So you'll get a brand new CPU. And then just make sure before you put the CPU... Well, if you have to put the CPU in, as soon as you put the CPU in, go into your BIOS. Well, you can boot the PC. It's not going to kill it immediately. Boot the PC or use another one to get the firmware, latest firmware for your motherboard. And the first thing you want to do is flash that BIOS. Get your motherboard BIOS flashed. And then it will then default to Intel. But if you do some reading up, you'll find all the info now. It's just, obviously, that's the issue. Yeah, we still do Game Boy shells. We do Game Boys every day. So you can either go on retro6.co.uk, send in service to send your own in and be reshelled. The mods option is where we sell the shells on their own, and ready built, we sell all the consoles pre-built. So that's that. Right, I've got to jump off, guys, because I've got another meeting any minute now, and I've got to get prepped. Plus, I need a coffee. So I will see you all later.